Hello, and thank you for being here today. Today is Monday, November 22nd, and this is today's readings for the daily Catholic Mass. And today is the feast day of Saint Cecilia. She is the patron saint of music, and she has a very wonderful story. She was a virgin who actually was married, and on the evening of her wedding night, she told her husband that she made a vow to God that she would remain a virgin and that she had an angel protecting her. And she told her husband to go on this journey. And upon his return, he saw the angel, believed her, and was then baptized. Uh, her husband, and his brothers began spreading the faith, but ultimately were martyred. But even her strength and conviction for God during the times of the local king trying to kill her at that time, he could not kill her. He tried to drown her by the baths, was not able to do that. Then tried to behead her. Uh, they couldn't cut her head off. They tried 3 times and they failed to actually cut the head off. So they just allowed her to lay there and bleed. And then even after the last time, she still bled for another 3 days before finally going up to God into eternity. So today we ask for St. Cecilia to pray for us. And when we hear a nice song that makes us think of something happy and something special, let's think of St. Cecilia. So our first reading today is from Daniel chapter 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came and laid siege to Jerusalem. The Lord handed over to him Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and some of the vessels of the temple of God. He carried them off to the land of Shinar and placed the vessels in the temple treasury of his God. The king told Ashpenaz, his chief chamberlain, to bring in some of the children of Israel of royal blood, and of the nobility, young men without any defect, handsome, intelligent and wise, quick to learn, and prudent in judgment, such as could take their place in the king's palace. They were to be taught the language and literature of the Chaldeans. After 3 years' training, they were to enter the king's service. The king allotted them a daily portion of food and wine from the royal table. Among these were men of Judah: Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. But Daniel was resolved not to defile himself with the king's food or wine. So he begged the chief chamberlain to spare him this defilement. Though God had given Daniel the favor and sympathy of the chief chamberlain, he nevertheless said to Daniel, "I am afraid of my lord the king. It is he who allotted your food and drink. If he sees that you look wretched by comparison with the other young men of your age, you will endanger my life with the king." Then Daniel said to the steward, whom the chief chamberlain had put in charge of Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, "Please test your servants for 10 days. Give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then see how we look in comparison with the other young men who eat from the royal table, and treat your servants according to what you see." He acceded to this request and tested them for 10 days. After 10 days, they looked healthier and better fed than any of the young men who ate from the royal table. So the steward continued to take away the food and wine they were to receive and gave them vegetables. To these 4 young men, God gave knowledge and proficiency in all literature and science, and to Daniel the understanding of all visions and dreams. At the end of the time the king has specified for their preparation, the chief chamberlain brought them to Nebuchadnezzar. When the king had spoken with all of them, none was found equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And so they entered the king's service. In any question of wisdom and prudence which the king put to them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters in his kingdom. And then our responsorial psalm today is from Daniel. The response is glory and praise forever. Blessed are you, O Lord, the God of our fathers, praiseworthy and exalted above all forever. And blessed is your holy and glorious name, praiseworthy and exalted above all for ages. Blessed are you in the temple of your holy glory, praiseworthy and glorious above all forever. Blessed are you on the throne of your kingdom, praiseworthy and exalted above all forever. Blessed are you who look into the depths from your throne upon the cherubim, praiseworthy and exalted above all forever. Blessed are you in the firmament of heaven, praiseworthy and glorious forever. And again, the response is glory and praise forever. Our gospel today is according to St. Luke, chapter 21, lines 1 through 4. When Jesus looked up, he saw some wealthy people putting their offerings into the treasury, and he noticed a poor widow putting in 2 small coins. He said, I tell you truly, this poor widow put in more than all the rest. For those others have all made offerings from their surplus wealth, but she, from her poverty, has offered her whole livelihood. And this is the gospel of the Lord. Wow, today when we listen to what Daniel went through, really what we're hearing and what we're thinking is not only Daniel's courage and conviction to follow God, but that by having the courage and conviction to follow God, God is going to give us everything that we need and make us whole. Oftentimes, we face situations that we're forced to do things, or we believe we're forced to do things that we don't want to do. Take a look at St. Thomas More, for example, whom in my church, our priest discussed in yesterday's homily, and how St. Thomas More was a wealthy lawyer, politician. He had a great position within the kingdom of England. And all he had to do was sign off on the king's ability to divorce his wife, marry another woman, and then declare himself the whole king of the Church of England. And St. Thomas More, he knew. He said, this isn't right. This is not God's will. This is not what is to be done. So he had the courage to give all of that up. And when we look at the book of Daniel, it reminds me of all the people who work jobs that do things that they know are against God's will and need the courage to stop doing the earthly will, but to do the will of God. But what I admire about Daniel is not just the fact that he had the courage to not eat the king's food from the royal table, but he had the shrewdness to think about, how do I serve the king on this earth, but glorify God at the same time? Because we can do both. It is not an all or nothing. We can do both. And if we find ourselves in a situation in which the earthly figures say we can't do both, then we choose God. But Daniel found a very shrewd way to serve both, with God coming first, with God being the king of his universe. And then when we look at the poor widow who offered her 2 small coins, it's not just about offering all of our wealth and the surplus wealth. It's about offering all of us, all of our talents, all of our love, all of our passion. So today, offer yourself. Find a way to serve God first and foremost in all that you do. And don't be so concerned with the earth. Love what you have. Love those around you. Love yourself. But most importantly, love God. Thank you for being here today. I hope you enjoyed this. And have a great day. And may God bless you. Thank you.